For decades, a college degree was the one investment no one questioned. Today, the average graduate leaves owing over $32,000. Nearly half of Generation Z regret the decision, and a growing number of employers have stopped requiring a degree at all. So is college becoming a scam? Or is something more complicated unfolding? The answer hinges on a calculation most families have never been taught to make. Karen remembers the day her daughter brought home a college acceptance letter. For her, it felt like a promise kept, a bridge to the kind of stability her own parents had worked so hard to secure. In Karen's family, a degree meant more than just classes and tests. It was the key to a future that could not be taken away. She recalls her father's stories of the years after World War II, when higher education opened doors that had once been closed, and entire communities believed in the power of a diploma to transform lives. This idea ran deep, passed from parent to child, reinforced by neighbors, teachers, and the evening news. College was not just an option, it was the safest bet in a world full of uncertainty. For families like Karen's, the degree became a symbol of progress, a shield against the unpredictability of layoffs, recessions, and changing industries. It was a social contract. Study hard, pay your dues, and you would be rewarded with a steady job, a house, and maybe a little more security than the generation before you. Karen's faith in this pathway never wavered, even as the world around her grew more complex. She saved for years, encouraged her daughter through every exam, and trusted that the old rules still held true. The belief that a college degree guaranteed a better life was not just a personal hope, but a shared understanding woven into the fabric of American life. Only now, as her daughter faces choices Karen never imagined, does that promise start to feel less certain? Sticker price, net price, debt at graduation. These are the numbers that now shape what college means for millions of families. The headlines often warn of runaway tuition, but the reality is more complicated. At public four-year colleges, inflation-adjusted tuition has actually declined by 7% over the past decade. The average published price for in-state students stands at $11,950 for 2025 to 2026, while out-of-state students pay closer to $31,880. But most students do not pay sticker price. After grants and scholarships, the net price at public colleges has edged down, not up, in recent years. Community colleges, often overlooked, have seen the steepest decline in net cost, a 7% drop over the last 10 years, making them the most affordable entry point for many. Yet even as real tuition growth slows, the shadow of debt remains. The average graduate in 2024 leaves school with $32,660 in loans. For public in-state students, the figure is $28,400. For private nonprofit students, it is $38,200. Millennials hold the largest share of outstanding federal student loan debt, a legacy of peak borrowing in the early 2010s. For Gen Z, debt at graduation is rising again, though the pace has softened thanks to expanded Pell Grants and more cautious borrowing limits. These numbers do not tell a single story. For some, careful planning and grant aid keep debt manageable. For others, especially those attending out-of-state or private schools, the risk of long repayment stretches and financial stress is real. The cost of higher education has become a calculation, one that demands a clear-eyed look at what is paid, what is borrowed, and what is truly affordable. As Maya begins her own college journey, these are the realities shaping her decisions and the decisions of her generation. Job postings that once demanded a bachelor's degree now look different. In 2024, about 15% of U.S. job listings no longer mention a degree as a requirement. That figure has tripled since 2015. Technology companies led the way, removing degree barriers for roles in software testing, user experience, and data labeling. Retail, manufacturing, and finance followed, opening doors for candidates with hands-on skills or industry certifications. Even healthcare has started to recognize on-the-job training for positions like medical coding and pharmacy tech. This trend is not limited to a few high-profile firms. At Google, Apple, and IBM, entry-level hiring increasingly favors portfolios and technical assessments over transcripts. In manufacturing, employers fill quality inspection and CNC operation jobs by testing for skill, not by checking for a diploma. The same shift is underway in customer support and compliance monitoring, where practical knowledge often outweighs classroom credentials. For those entering the workforce, the difference is real. Employers report that non-degree hires often match or outperform their degree-holding peers in routine, skill-based roles. Onboarding is faster, turnover is lower. Yet the long-term picture is more complicated. After 2 years, workers without a degree typically earn 10 to 15% less than those with one, even in the same occupation. Over time, the pay gap narrows but rarely disappears entirely. And while entry-level opportunities have broadened, promotion into senior or managerial positions still favors candidates with a 4-year degree. The automatic payoff once promised by a diploma is no longer guaranteed. Today, the job market rewards adaptability, demonstrated skills, and continuous learning. For Gen Z and millennials, the traditional degree remains valuable, but it is no longer the only ticket in town. The question facing students and families now is not just whether college is worth it, but how to measure the return on that investment in a world where the rules are changing. Marcus sits at his kitchen table, a stack of unopened loan statements tucked beneath his laptop. At 24, he's working 2 part-time jobs, neither of which asked about his degree. He remembers the pride on his mother's face at graduation, a moment that felt like a turning point. But now, the weight of $34,000 in student debt presses on him every day. He checks job boards at night, scrolling past openings that either require years of experience he does not have or offer wages that barely cover rent. For Marcus, the stress is not just about money, it's about the fear of letting his family down, of falling short after years of hard work and hope. He is not alone. National surveys show that 64% of Generation Z students report being very stressed about college costs. Among millennials, 38% say they regret the money and time spent on their degree. For Generation Z, regret climbs even higher, 45%. The reasons are complex. Some cite debt they had not fully understood at age 18. Others talk about jobs that do not use what they studied, or the constant anxiety of making payments with no end in sight. The pressure to succeed weighs heavily, especially when the old promise of security feels out of reach. These numbers are more than statistics. They capture a sense of uncertainty that stretches across generations. Parents who worry for their children, graduates who question their choices, students who wonder if they are making a mistake. The emotional toll is real, and it shapes how young people approach every decision about their future. For Marcus and millions like him, the gap between the cost of college and the reality of the job market is not just a financial calculation. It is a daily source of stress, regret, and second-guessing, a reminder that the rules have changed, and that navigating this new landscape requires more than determination alone. Maya opens her laptop and starts with a single question: how do you know if college is a good investment? She pulls up a tool called the Wage-to-Cost Ratio, or WTCR. It is a simple formula. Take the projected earnings over 10 years in your chosen field and divide by the total cost of tuition and fees. If the ratio is above 20, financial experts say the investment is strong. If it falls below 15, the risk of debt outweighing the reward grows much higher. To make the numbers real, Maya works through a 5-step checklist. She enters the net price for her top college, estimates her likely debt at graduation, and looks up median salaries for her intended major. She factors in living expenses, interest, and the possibility of starting salaries that may not match the averages. The final step, she compares her WTCR to the benchmarks. For Maya, and for anyone facing this decision, this checklist brings clarity, turning a leap of faith into a measured choice. Options for education now stretch far beyond the four-year campus. Boot camps, for example, offer intensive training in 12 to 16 weeks, with costs typically between $12,000 and $20,000. Reports from major programs show that about 78% of graduates land jobs in tech within 6 months. Apprenticeships take a different approach. Students earn while they learn, often reaching average wages of $65,000 per year after completion, and usually carry little or no debt. Industry certificates, such as those in healthcare or IT, cost between $5,000 and $10,000 and can open doors to jobs with solid starting salaries. These alternatives are not a guarantee, but they offer measurable outcomes, shorter timelines, and a more direct connection between training and employment. For many, they represent a practical route to financial stability without the weight of traditional student loans. Today, a degree still opens doors. The lock has changed. As tuition, debt, and job markets evolve, the real challenge is matching education to opportunity, not tradition. Informed choices matter more than ever. For this generation, awareness is power. What does an empowered path look like to you?